Hello everybody, Kathy here. Today I wanted to chat with you about love as a digital nomad. I just recently got married and it made me think a lot about love. So in today's video, I wanted to share with you 5 lessons that traveling has taught me about love. I'm fully aware that a lot of people within the digital nomad community believe that it is, firstly, hard to find love as a nomad, and secondly, even harder to maintain a relationship as a nomad. Now, I have been nomadic, we have been nomadic as a couple for the majority of our relationship. And in this video, I really want to encourage people to believe that they can actually find love as a digital nomad as well. And not only that, but I would actually encourage people to start a nomadic journey together, because I think that there are many lessons that can be learned from this lifestyle, especially if you come together and live it out together. The first lesson that I've learned is that compromise is non-negotiable. Especially when you're traveling a lot, you will figure out, one of you might be super spontaneous, the other one likes to have their proper travel itinerary, and that was definitely the case in the beginning of our relationship. I was more the organized person who actually had Excel spreadsheets of all of our travels. We used to travel a lot back in the days. And my partner wasn't as organized, and we had to come together and meet halfway and see what can work for both of us. So you very quickly figure out each other and need to have conflict resolution and find a compromise that works for both of you. No method is better than the other one. You simply need to figure out what works for you both as a couple so that you can move forward. And this is also something that you will, when you travel with someone, you very quickly realize who they really are. And that's also why I highly encourage people to try to give this nomadic thing a go, because you will very quickly figure out who the other person is. And the quicker you figure that out, the quicker you can decide for yourself, do I see a future life together with this person or not? Are we actually compatible on many different levels? Or will this not work out? As opposed to, when you live a normal lifestyle where you maybe only see each other in the evenings, maybe only once, twice, or 3 times per week, it's easier to kind of hide certain aspects of your personality, of who you really are, what your real desires are, and push the not so nice things aside. But when you are nomadic, you are most of the time together a lot of time, and you spend together a lot of time, whether it's on your travels, sitting on buses, sitting on trains, sitting on ships, on airplanes, and you are together a lot of time. So you will figure out who the other person is way quicker. And also with that, how far can you go with the compromising? How far can you meet the other person halfway? With that as well, the second lesson being that conflict is indeed growth. And it's normally within those moments where you realize, who the other person is, that you can come together and solve problems as a team. This can be things simple as delayed flights, wrong directions, you've ended up in the wrong location. It can be food poisoning. I remember in our very early days of our relationship, we had a disastrous food poisoning occasion. And it's, you need to come together, and those moments also create a lot of softness. It creates listening skills as well, and like expression of like, what is it that you really need in those moments? Do you need to express your emotions in a certain way? And can the other person also meet you with whatever emotions you're going through in those moments of like big problems that appear? And it just creates a lot of softness around the whole situation, and how you both can come together when there is conflict, especially external conflict that occurs, such as all of the delayed flights, which will definitely happen when you travel a lot. But you can very quickly see whether in those moments of external conflict that is happening, whether you can actually come together as a couple and grow as a couple from those moments. And now we laugh about those food poisoning moments that we had at the very beginning of our relationship, but it wasn't that funny while we were living through it, where we had to find like, okay, what do we do? How do we solve this? You know, how do we figure out a travel schedule from these events that happened? But it definitely did bring us together. With that, the number 3 lesson is that travel magnifies everything, the good and the bad. And back to the number 1, when I said that, you know, I highly encourage couples to actually become nomadic or to travel a lot, especially at the beginning of their relationship, is because you will figure out what the other person is like, if it was just, you know, an imagination that you were thinking or a vision that you had in your mind, but then it turns out that they're actually not what you had in mind or what you had envisioned to be your relationship. And you will very quickly then figure out, okay, this actually works for me. This is something that I can work with for the future, to build a life together, for a, you know, for forever. Or whether the bad things overweigh the good things, and whether you can't really work with all the bad things that accumulate and then move on and, you know, go on your own paths and in separate directions. So definitely travel magnifies everything, the good stuff that you will have and see in the other person, and as well, you know, within yourself, and the bad stuff that you might see, might notice more often within the other person. And also, of course, you will have bad traits as well that your partner will have to deal with as well. The number 4 lesson that I have learned is the power of the pause. Yes, of course, you will have many highs. You know, when you travel together, you will experience so many different things, you will see so many things, and the highs are super high, but then also you find that there's actually a lot of connection that happens within the stillness, in the little moments. And those are just as magnificent as, like, you know, the big things. When I think of my relationship, you know, we've done extraordinary things like camel riding in Egypt next to the pyramids. We've been in hot air balloons in incredible locations. And yes, of course, those have been all incredible things that we have experienced together as a couple. But also, it's the little moments, you know, when you're sitting together laughing about a situation that you're thinking back when you're both sipping on a coconut under the palm trees, just laying there. So really try and embrace those little moments as well, when you are living this lifestyle, and, you know, just embrace them and just create as many moments as possible where you can actually be together and come together. And you need to also figure out your love language together, that one of you might, you know, enjoy more quality time that you like to spend together, and where those moments of connections are actually super important for that relationship. And it is important in any situation, those moments where you can pause and reflect and just sit together and have some unplanned afternoons where you come together. The number 5 lesson is that traveling a lot has actually allowed us to dream bigger and have more dreams together, because we've been able to see a lot of different lifestyles in a lot of different countries. So we've seen how people live in different countries, what their family life looks like, what their values are, what their culture teaches them about family, about, you know, love and relationship. And we've been able to then come together and use whatever has worked for us. And we've taken that from all of our experiences to then be able to decide what works for us and decide what we were going to focus for our future and how we envision our future to look like, by being able to be fully open to that experience of traveling, of getting to know different cultures, of having had all of those experiences, and then also reflecting it back to your partner and sharing with your partner what you really liked from, you know, wherever you have visited, and what didn't resonate with you as much as you thought it might. So just being open about that, and also really being clear early on that you have a vision together, that you're dreaming of a future path, really helps. So those have been the 5 lessons. Obviously, there's been many more that go together with this whole topic of being in love, having a relationship as a nomadic couple. But all this to say that I think that it has helped our relationship grow tremendously and grow from a very early stage on, that we really quickly had to decide, okay, we have to make this work, or no, this isn't going to work. Because I think, especially as a nomadic couple, it's so easy to, if things don't work out on the first go, to be like, okay, let's just go our separate ways. This didn't work, whatever. I'm a super independent person, which is the truth for a lot of nomadic people. I can just go to another country and you continue on your other country. But I think it's so important to decide whether or not you actually can envision a life together, and to then learn to compromise, to talk with each other and to meet each other halfway if you really want to make this work. And believe it or not, it really does work. And I highly recommend people to learn their own lessons through traveling, because traveling will teach you so much, and it definitely will teach you a lot about love, and a lot about how to make love work as you travel and as you are on the go. It's an incredible tool, I will say, within this whole lifestyle. And it's one of the biggest takeaways for me has been, like, that out of traveling so much, the result has just been, for myself personally, to have an amazing relationship with my now husband, because we have had to adapt very quickly and find so many, tools that work for us. Also because we do spend so much time together and figure out what works for us, what doesn't work for us, and what we envision our future to look like, and just come together as a united unit entity that really just flourishes in wherever we go, because we know that at the end of the day we are a constant, and we know, we're very clear on what we want, what we don't want. It's just that the external environments might change, especially when we travel a lot, but to not let those influence, especially if you are clear on where you're headed as a couple. So I hope this helps somebody out there, or at least you might have gotten another opinion on this whole topic of love as a digital nomad. And I would love to hear your stories if you too are a nomadic couple, and if you recommend it as well to travel as a couple. I do highly recommend it as well. And I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you on the next one.